it's your girl Adeola. So this has been going on for God knows how long. I'm talking about corruption in the judicial system of Nigeria. The fact that regular people don't get justice. We need to talk about this, especially now that we have a new Chief Justice. In case you are watching me, my Oga, you know do well. The fact that this is still happening under this new administration, Oga Buhari, then Bami or Simba Joe, we were all very hopeful that in your time, the rich and powerful people will no longer be oppressing the common people, forcefully taking other people's properties in Nigeria just because they can do it and get away with it, even though they can afford their own. As you guys know, so many Nigerians, after living abroad for years, sometimes for decades, they would want to go back and build a house in Nigeria so that they can retire in Nigeria. Well, in 2013, on this show, I talked about a Nigerian businessman here in the US, Ima Ohikwari, who, after working abroad for decades, saving money to retire in Nigeria, was finally able to buy a land in Asokoro and build a 2-wing complex. The man worked in oil, gas, and telecommunication sectors here in the US as well as in the UK. And he spent 1 billion naira, money that he had been saving for decades, that he's been working abroad. He spent that money to build a house in Nigeria where he can retire. But as soon as his family moved into the house, Alhaji Shehu Malami, that is the former Nigerian ambassador to South Africa, allegedly showed up and said that he owned the land on which the man built his house and said he bought the land in 1984. And the man was like, he bought this land in 2006 from the former Minister of Transport, that is Alhaji Abibu Aliyu, and he produced all the necessary documents. Besides that, this man spent 3 years building his house in Asokoro. How come nobody showed up in the 3 years that he was constructing? Nobody showed up to claim the land, but they waited until he finished building his house, and then they came and they said, oh, Malami owned the house. Anyway, they took it to court, but guess who showed up in court? That is billionaire Emeka Ofo, a filthy rich Nigerian billionaire who made his money by taking huge contracts without delivering. During Abacha's time, Emeka Ofo was allegedly paid $100 million to maintain the Port Harcourt refinery. Of course, he did not do it, yet he pocketed the money. He also got $8 billion NEPA contracts to build the Yola Bauchi transmission line. $8 billion, I'm not saying million dollars, $1 billion. That was part of the $16 billion that Obasanjo's government wasted on power. Remember, there was a time he donated $1 million to the Rotary Foundation for Polio Eradication. He can afford it. That's how rich he is. There was one time that he illegally took 700,000 pounds to UK, and of course, UK deported him. In fact, he sued UK for deporting him. You guys remember that story? Anyway, that was the man that showed up in court when they started fighting over this house. Apparently, Emeka Ofo wanted the house. You know, there are 2 wings. Malami wanted one, Emeka Ofo wanted the other. Emeka allegedly partnered with Malami to get this man kicked out of his house. So Justice Umar at that time gave a verdict that this man should be kicked out of his house. And there are reports that Justice Umar was bribed. But within a week, they brought policemen to evict this man out of his house. I talked about this in 2013. Well, he appealed the case. In fact, popular human rights lawyer Femi Falana even set up a petition at that time that this powerful man must not get away with harassing this man and taking his property by force. Fortunately for this man, the appeal court said that he's the rightful owner of his house, that he did everything he was supposed to do, that they should give him back his house. And you know, we were all celebrating that finally justice has prevailed. Now lie, would you believe that despite that, Emeka Ofo and Malami decided to take the matter to the Supreme Court? This whole thing, they've been on this thing for about 4 years now, and they've been at the Supreme Court for the last 2 years. This man will travel to Nigeria for the court hearing, and then they will say it's been adjourned for another 6 months. The case has now been adjourned 4 different times in the last 2 years, and we still don't know what will happen. In the meantime, Emeka Ofo is occupying one of the houses. I mean, the judiciary in Nigeria is heartbreaking. Some people may say, why are you talking about this? It doesn't concern me. I'm telling you, it could happen to anybody. And if such has happened to you, please share your story in the comments below. Maybe you tried to take a matter to court and justice did not prevail, because it's very, very common. It's very rampant in Nigeria. And you know, if you are living abroad and you are hoping to go to Nigeria to go and build your own house and live there, you know, Koido has been saving. He said he wants to build a duplex. I've been telling him, don't tell anybody when you move to Nigeria. Don't put pictures of it on Facebook. I'm not saying that this man did that. I'm just saying some people, they cannot keep quiet. So I've been telling him not to broadcast Shouts to everybody. Although I don't know how he will afford a duplex when me, his boss, cannot afford a duplex myself. Anyway, but you know that it bothers me because this man, Alhaji Malami, is a Sokoto prince. He's very rich. He's an elder statesman. He's the former ambassador to South Africa, and he's also the chairman of Abuja Electricity Distribution Company. He has money. Emeka Ofo is the chairman of Chrome Group and Enugu Electricity Distribution Company. You think that they cannot afford their own houses? Of course they can afford their own houses, but they just have to have this man's house. Maybe they just want that location by fire by force. I don't know. Emeka had his own bank, you know, African Express Bank. Remember, it was later liquidated. Apparently, the man was just taking money out of the bank, you know. He thought if you own a bank, it means you own all the money inside the bank. Anyway, finally, the bank was liquidated. I'm saying that this man could afford to build his own house, or if he wanted to buy it from this man, they could just approach him. And if the man wanted to sell, he would sell. And if he didn't want to sell, it is not by fire by force. But they just decided that they can get this man's properties and they can get away with it, and that's what they've been doing. Please get the new Chief Justice. So Mr. Chief Justice, you not do well. We were all rooting for you on this show, you know, me and Kodilo. We were saying that they must to make you the Chief Justice by fire by force, you know, because we are hoping that in your time true justice would prevail in Nigeria. Maybe you can start by ensuring justice on this case. I heard that the Supreme Court will give a judgment soon, maybe at the end of this month. I don't know. Hopefully they will not adjourn it again like they've been doing for so long. And by ensuring justice, I'm not just talking about making sure that people's houses are not forcefully taken away from them. No, it's not just about houses. Many people will ship things to Nigeria and custom officers will seize it from them and use it to extract money from them. Sometimes they will tell them to pay ridiculous amounts before they can be cleared. At the end of it, some people will just abandon their stuff. A few weeks ago, I talked about how they found 17 exotic vehicles at the home of the former customs boss. I mean, 17 vehicles. Those were vehicles of people that these officials liked. They really liked those vehicles, and they decided to seize them in order to use it to extract money from the owners by telling them to pay ridiculous amount as a custom fee. Sometimes some of these fees have no receipt, and you know, if you cannot pay the money, they would then tell you that they will auction the vehicle, and that is how they will give it to their friends. By the way, it's not just politicians that are taking advantage of the common people. I've been saying this for a long time. Nigerian soldiers must be checked. Please, is anybody watching me in the Nigerian government? You must to check our soldiers. They are doing whatever they want to. They think they can just do anything and get away with it. I'm sure you guys have seen pictures of the woman in Lagos. This woman that was brutalized by six uniformed soldiers, 6 men on one woman. Father, no, this is, that is not correct. 6 men beating up one woman in broad daylight. Nigerian soldiers need to be completely reoriented. Why would you beat a civilian? Not to talk about beating a woman, and you call yourself a man. You have no shame. Lojuti, any man that beats a woman is a coward. Benny, apparently a soldier slapped her brother and she protested. That was how they bounced on her. I guess they wanted to kill her. So if a soldier is beating your brother or your sister, you are not supposed to see anything. You're just supposed to be watching. This mentality of the powerful doing anything to common people has got to stop in Nigeria. From seizing people's houses, seizing people's cars and stuff at custom, to beating people on the street. With some of the things that happen in Nigeria, sometimes you feel ashamed of being in Nigeria. No, seriously. Because the justice system is so very faulty. It's so ridiculous. And I hope that this woman gets justice. Although, knowing the Nigerian military, I doubt it. Because up till now, the military is covering up those soldiers that beat up this woman. They are not letting us see their faces. Apart from paying her huge ransom, and they should pay this woman millions of naira. I think those soldiers should be beaten the same way they beat this woman. I think their backs should also look like this. If the backs of those soldiers can look like this, I'm telling you that will be the end of harassing civilians on the streets of Nigeria. Making me upset. You guys not doing anything. Guess what? I'm just keeping it real.